was a lawyer. I am a lawyer. Practiced here for 40 years, and I had a lot of cases and learned to meet a lot of people and have a lot of good relationships there. But the fact is, and I say this all the time, most of my fondest memories, most of my best friends, most of the best experiences I had in my life have come through basketball.
Wow.
And basketball is a connection. I mean, I would have never known this young man, but for basketball. People who are in basketball and stay in basketball do develop in other sports as well. Right. It's true of other sports. Yeah. But develop a connection, you don't lose.
Back, episode 8.
Once again.
Both Sides of the Game podcast. We love you all.
Yes,
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and following. All the episodes, our YouTube channel, Both Sides of the Game podcast. Please like and subscribe and follow us. And continue to support us. We appreciate it. We see the comments. We see the love around the city. And today, once again, it's so legendary right now. Phone ringing in the office is all good. We got a legend right here, man. I'm going to keep it a being with you. One of my former coaches, North Carolina. 22 years, board member of USA Basketball.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I had to do my research. I had to do my homework on my coach. Reorganized North Carolina District in 1983. Charlotte Royals AAU program. Practiced law, 22 years board member. Like I said, USA Basketball, Basketball Vision Award, Passionate Leadership Award, National Service Award, District Volunteer of the Year. I keep going. But this is my AAU coach from back in the day, the Charlotte Royals. I give y'all right now the legendary Rod Seaford.
Oh, thank you.
I told you I had a good intro for you. I told you.
Very powerful, by the way.
I appreciate being asked to do this. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Thank you. Yeah.
And asking me questions about basketball is dangerous because I can just roll on and on and on and on.
That's why we got you on.
That's why we want you, man.
That's why we want you. We had to have you on. That's why we got you. So just like, you being a staple of AAU basketball, you the godfather of AAU in North Carolina, and I stand on that. Obviously, you basically brought it to North Carolina, and kind of like, what was the process with that? What was your mind state? Because it changed so many, guys like myself and other great players that came out of the state, changed their lives for real, and getting to college and beyond college.
Well, I started it, the main push that we had, and I had help when we first got this thing going. It's interesting how we got it going. But we felt that Charlotte kids were being under-recruited.
Right.
At the time, we had 10 public schools and basically 4 private schools that played basketball. Mm-hmm. And they all played each other. Nobody was coming. I'd go to games. There wouldn't be, and wouldn't be a college coach there. Right. A lot of very good players I thought were not getting an opportunity to go play in college. Mm-hmm. So that was part of it. And we had several high school coaches involved in helping me get it kicked off. And we saw that we had some effect there. All of a sudden we had kids who were getting noticed and getting attention. So that was the original thrust. And it evolved a little bit then. We only had older kids when we first started, so then we started doing stuff for the younger kids.
Right.
And it grew, and there was certainly a demand for it, a desire for it, and we stuck with it.
Right. Yep.
And then all of a sudden, there are other organizations participating as well. Of course, as you know, when you play, there were really only 2 organizations, and the third organization came, and that was true through the 90s, and now there are probably 60 or 70 organizations trying to play basketball in Mecklenburg County.
Are you still heavily involved at all in like the AAU scene?
Well, I'm still the manager of the North Carolina District and the boys basketball director. I no longer have any national office. I resigned all those last year.
It
got to be a little much. So,
it got to be a lot.
I'm of a certain age now, so I no longer do the national stuff. I had quite a bit of responsibility on the national program for many, many, many years. But I'm still much involved and still pushing the North Carolina AAU basketball, still looking for new places to play, new events, new teams, and that kind of stuff. I haven't coached in 12 years.
Oh yeah.
I just want to start out by saying I thank you, Rod. I really do. I wear the blue shirt today because this royal blue.
Royal shirt.
That's the first team I ever coached for. By the way, first team I ever coached for in Charlotte was the Royals. My son was 9 years old. Rod, I'm just gonna ask you a few questions here. When did you start? How did the Royals name come up? When did you come up with the Royals?
Well, the Royals, strangely enough, we had AAU teams for about 7 or 8 years before we adopted the name Royals.
What year was that?
We started using Royals in 1988. But I started the program and the franchise basically in 1982. But as we added teams, I was foolish enough to think that each team should have its own individual name. When I first started this thing, we were the Metros and the Hornets.
I remember that.
We were the Metros and the Hornets. We had 2 teams the first year. Then as we added teams, we called them stuff like the Kings, the Ambassadors, the Monarchs.
Yeah.
Right.
And finally, I'm like, nobody knows who we are because nobody really.
Right.
So we had used the Royals one year on a girls' team, and we decided Royals would be great. And also, the Charlotte Hornets NBA team showed up, and I didn't want to continue using Hornets.
They stayed the Royals.
And I didn't want to fight them over it, so we just went to all our teams were the Royals. And
they stepped in on some legal, y'all can't take this name.
it might have been, but I didn't deal with that.
Yeah, I only want to deal with that.
I figured I'd probably lose that
Yeah.
anyway. But we were we had it is interesting how we got it going.
Right.
I was coaching rec leagues. I got here in '77.
Wow.
And my friend asked me, will you help me with my rec league team? He was coaching his son. So for 2 or 3 years, I coached in that thing. It was called the Winterfield Booster Club, which is part of the East Meck Youth League.
Yeah.
I started coaching in East Meck.
Yeah.
Omar Carter, my son, Charles Dewhurst,
Yeah.
was all on that team in East Meck.
So we had just rec over there. And so in '82, I get a call from Sergeant Ernie Russ. He's a very important name that most people don't realize.
Ernie Russ, huh?
Ernie Russ ran the Police Athletic League in Charlotte. He was a wonderful human being. I had coached his son in one of the rec league teams, and he asked me, have you ever heard of AAU? Well, I'd heard of it, but I'd heard of it as track and boxing and stuff because for years they were responsible for the Olympic teams. I said, I know what it is. He said, I've got this flyer about an AAU basketball tournament. Will you help me organize this? Wow. And I agreed to do it.
Ernie Russ.
Ernie Russ.
Wow.
I agreed to do it. And I said, I need some help. So I called, and you'll know this name, I called Bruce Kreitzer.
That's my man.
Bruce Kreitzer was the head coach at Garinger. He is now the shooting coach for the Charlotte Hornets.
Wow.
And has been an NBA shooting coach for, 10, 12 years.
Shout out to Kevin Kreitzer. Coach Kevin.
Kevin's father.
Never met him, but this is some serious.
Kevin's
This
father.
is some serious information right here.
Assistant coach.
He got us Garinger. We arranged a tryout. He helped me call all the coaches in the county. Now we're doing it's a senior team, right?
Yeah.
So we called it all the coaches, and there was no AAU at that point in Mecklenburg County.
Wow.
They had a tournament the year before in Winston-Salem. 2 teams showed up. One from Raleigh, no coach, just a bunch of kids. And one from Winston-Salem. They played 1 game. Raleigh won, and they declared them the champion. They went back home.
They didn't have a coach.
They had no
that
coach.
showed up like, yo, man, we ready to get this
If
in.
they had one, he couldn't make it that day. I don't know.
And this is AAU. This is before the term AAU,
Well, they called that an AAU.
They called it AAU tournament.
So
Okay.
the guy that was running it was a man named Jack Hutzler, who was a professor at Wake Forest.
Wake Forest. Okay.
Jack had some strange ideas, in my opinion, but he was a good man.
Yeah.
And so after that, we went and played in that tournament.
Yeah.
There were 6 teams. We had a tryout. 30-some kids showed up.
Yeah.
Some good players. Wow. And Bruce was going to coach the team, and we decided we can't cut all these guys. We need to, I'll coach a team too. So we put together 2 teams. And we went up there, and we both promptly lost. Had Tony White on the team, future NBA player, Jeff McGill. great player. And we said, this is great because the kids really enjoyed it. They're playing on a team with guys they've been playing against for all these years.
Yeah.
And prior to that, there just wasn't that interaction. They didn't live in your neighborhood.
Right.
They didn't go to your school. You didn't have cell phones. You didn't have social media. So the kids loved getting together and getting to know each other, and we liked it too. And the coaches who were involved liked it. Some of them were pretty resistant to it. So we said, this is great. We're going to do it again next year. So Hutzler asked me if I would host a tournament, which I did. Right. And we had it at Garinger High School again. And we had, I don't know, I think 8-10 teams played and had a much better event than the first couple years he tried. And so he said, I'm getting out of this. He was actually going to be moving. He said, will you be the director? I didn't really know what I was doing when I said yes.
Yeah.
All right. So as it turned out, we had to reorganize the North Carolina AAU altogether. It almost went under in the early 80s.
Wow.
Due to the U.S. Sports Act, which changed a lot of things with the organization of sports. So turned out to be for the good. So, in the next year, that was 82 when we played the first time. The next year, we added a team. We added a 17-year-old team. And the next year, I think we added another team or two. And the Sonics came around. The Charlotte Sonics showed up, I believe, it was either 84 or 83. They had younger teams. They had 13-year-old teams and 15-year-old teams. Yeah. And they went to national tournaments out in Indiana. Okay. This is before I had ever been to a national tournament. So they went out there, had some success. Mm-hmm. And so that's, AAU basketball became something people knew about and something that kids wanted to do at that point. And it was only the Royals. We were not called the Royals at that point, but it became the Royals and the Sonics were the only two clubs until early 90s. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Ligon came around with the Charlotte Aces.
It was the third.
He was the third. They were the third one, and we remained just the three of us for a few years. And of course, we, in that regard,
that's all it was.
We all had good players.
Yeah, it was the talent.
We were all very good.
Because it was the Sonics, then the Nets, of course, and then. But I know that the Sonics were first.
Sonics were first, and the Sonics, the Nets came along in the
90s.
It was really just a change in leadership.
Yeah,
and so the Nets came along in the 90s.
And shout out to Coach Kerry Sargent. We had him on the show. He explained that. Like that's the split with the name and all that, because I didn't know that. I knew about the Sonics, but I didn't know why. I'm like, why did we change the name to the Nets when we played? He told the whole story.
Well, they had the name change. Of course, we had the name change. We went.
Everybody.
So it's not unusual.
Everybody just took a name.
See that happen, but they've been basically the same. So CJ was involved from the very beginning, and Kerry was involved early, and Huggins was involved early.
Yeah, Huggins. And Rod, and also I know the richness of the Royals. How many state titles and nationals did you guys accomplish?
Why don't you tell me about that? I can tell you about the nationals. I'm not sure how many state titles the club
nationals.
Won. I won 10 state titles, but our club won. Our 10. Club won probably 40. I don't know. Little young kids.
Yeah.
And we had girls program too. We had a very good girls program. Yeah. Our club has won 5 national AAU championships.
Damn.
I was involved in 4 of them. That's a 17-year-old trophy right there.
With the hardware, bro.
And this is a 19-year-old trophy. This is a 16-year-old trophy. Yeah. I was assistant coach for the 16s, the head coach for the other 2. This little shadow box in the back is for a girls' 18 under national championship. Wow. Andrea Stinson was the player on that team.
Shout out to Andrea Stinson.
Shout out
homegrown.
Shout out
Charlotte.
I would have to say pound for pound, maybe the best player I ever got a chance to coach.
That's big. Fantastic. She was tough. North Meck.
She was. She is now an assistant coach for the men's program at Bluefield College in Virginia.
Yep.
Told you
Some of the guys.
Yeah, Coach, you got it, man. Look, this is what we're here for. You can even talk.
Listen.
Let me mention this too. We also won a 12-year-old championship in 91. Robert Dunson was the head coach of that team.
Okay.
He got the trophy. I don't have that trophy.
Rob, you got the trophy. OG.
Yeah.
You deserve it, man.
Right. Some of the players that went on to play college and professional, can you, off the top of your head, name a few of them?
Sure. The only thing about doing that, Harold, is I leave somebody out that deserves to be talked about.
It's all right.
Listen, it's all right. It's all right.
know,
It's all right.
We had, at one time I kept a roster of this, and I kind of lost track of it. And,
You got 10 of them?
And we had, I think, 9 or 10 NBA players.
Whoa.
Tony White.
Tony White.
Haywood Workman.
Ooh.
10 years in the league. Referee in the league for many years. Just retired from
I
officiating.
used to give him a hard time
last year.
It's because I knew him. His brother was his brother
You
Charles.
told him you're from Charlotte. You needed to have a little break.
Yeah, I
once in a
told
while,
his brother Charles Workman was like my he was like the school security.
Yeah.
In when I was at Carmel Middle School. So
DeMarco Johnson had a brief time in the league.
DeMarco, UNC Charlotte.
Rashad McCants played for us. Played in the league. I'm gonna leave somebody out. Rusty LaRue.
Yeah, Rusty LaRue played for the Royals.
Played for me 2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Todd Fuller.
Yeah, Charlotte Christian.
First round draft choice, lottery pick.
NC State.
Gosh, I try to think of him just the other day.
Yes. You're up to 7. You got sitting there. You got
Oh,
right now
a guy
with
named
7.
Anthony Morrow.
I was waiting to see when you was going to say
He said, "You better not leave me."
Let me see how many people you going to name before you
You got 7, but that's a good. Listen,
Steph?
Steph never played. Neither Curry's played for us. There's
He
one.
never played for the Royals.
He played for the
Stars.
the Monarchs when he was a little. Not the Monarchs, but the Stars when he was little.
Yeah.
And when he was in high school, he played. His dad put together a team.
Yeah,
They
they're
played
the
with-
Monarchs or something. No,
No, I don't know who. they were.
Was he a junior in high school then, or younger? You mean still about Steph? Or
Steph was like a year or 2 younger than me. He was like a couple grades.
Yeah,
lower.
he's
He was
my
like a sophomore when I was
son's
a senior.
age.
right?
Yeah,
He's my son's grade.
yeah.
I remember his dad did put together a nice
Yeah.
high school team.
They
traveled.
his junior year they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
Because we
that.
played
They
in
had
an
a good
event
team.
with them. We never played them, but we played an event with them.
KC Rivers ever played for you?
Casey Rivers played for me.
Yes.
He's a pro.
Well, we had a lot. He was not an NBA player, but he
Play overseas.
still overseas
Play overseas. Get money.
We
How about
had-
Eric Maynard?
we had dozens. We've had dozens of players play overseas.
Right.
I still got some players playing over there. Hard to keep up with them all. They're all about ready to be done now. I hadn't coached in a while.
Anton Jameson.
Yes,
Yep.
he was maybe our best player, most accomplished player that we had.
He was like LeBron or something. I saw him play when he was at Providence
yes.
when I was a kid.
Yeah, we won 2 national championships with Antoine.
Yeah,
Really?
He was a 2-time double All-American.
I
It
never
means
heard of
he
that.
made All-American
2-time.
in the 17-year-old tournament, and then he made it in the 19-year-old tournament. And the next year, that was when he was a rising junior.
yeah.
The next year, as a rising senior, he again made it in the 17-year-old tournament and the 19-year-old tournament. I don't believe that has ever happened before. And I know we won in 1993. We won the 17-year-old championship, and then 2 weeks later, we went to Knoxville, Tennessee, to Thompson Bowling Arena. We won the 19-year-old championship.
Yeah.
That's never been done before or after in AAU. So we had great runs in the 90s. We were very good. Had great rivalry with the Sonics all through those years.
Rivalry.
I'm still mad at CJ. He beat me like 4 times in a row.
Whoa.
You know, I didn't like that.
CJ.
Whoa, CJ.
I always had a great respect for him.
I'm gonna tell you this. I don't mean to cut
But
you
then
off.
I got me a streak too. So
Okay.
Yeah. He got his league back, man. That's
CJ
this one is
spoke-
only three AAU programs, so all the talent is just it's 3 teams.
yeah, we
So now it's like 100 teams everywhere, and it's like you don't know where people. But back then it was like you took pride in wearing that jersey because you had to be good to put it on.
it was a rivalry. It was a friendly rivalry.
Friendly
Yeah.
rivalry.
A friendly rival, but intense.
Yes.
And we, of course, we're always trying to recruit the same players.
Yeah.
We took players from outside the area as well. I had a lot of good players from outside the area. One of my good experiences as a coach over the years is we had a lot of international players play for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I enjoyed coaching those guys.
Yeah.
I enjoyed learning about them. We had Martin Edis, who played at Davidson. He was from Czech Republic. We had Ding Leak. We had a guy named David Narsuk, 7'1" guy, played at Cincinnati. These guys taught me as much as I ever taught them. Nemanja Mikic from Serbia.
Yeah.
Ilya Vankovic played at UNCC from Croatia. And these guys were here as exchange students, and they're all big, so, we recruited them pretty hard. So that was something about coaching, AAU basketball that gave me a lot of good memories. A lot of.
I know it sure gave me some. I didn't know anything about it until I moved here, and the Charlotte Royals was the first team my son played on. It was a great experience.
We had some great rivalries against New York teams as well. Riverside, Gauchos. We had real battles against those teams.
Did you ever beat one of them?
We beat both of them.
Hey, hold on. Hey, I'm backing up off that Royals. I'm backing up off that one. You heard it. He knocked off two of them.
The first time that we played Riverside, we were playing in the Boo Williams tournament in Norfolk, or rather in Hampton, Virginia, and they jumped on us when they had 10-0. I was like, "Oh Lord, what are we going to do here?" Yeah. We battled back and won that game. Yeah. And that's still when Ernie Lorch was coaching
involved.
that team.
Yeah.
The Gauchos had great programs for years. They lasted. They're still playing. They're still involved on it. And we had pretty good results against them. We never went to New York to play. We played them in Norfolk and Florida.
Right.
Mostly.
Oh yeah.
Neutral courts.
Neutral. That's good. That's still a big win.
Well, who was on? I don't know if you remember. Was Anton on one of them teams?
Antoine Jameson, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, that was the 93 team.
Right.
And then the 94 team. We were very good in 93 and 94. We had a streak from 91 to 96.
Wow.
Where we were top 10 every year in the nation. We were fifth in 91.
That's big.
92, we weren't quite as good. 93, we won. 94, we finished in the top 10. 95 and 96, all top 10 finishes.
Wow.
That's when I had a lot of energy.
Right.
Coach had a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. Did you ever coach? No, go ahead.
No. I was. I got to rewind here for a minute. Because CJ spoke highly of you, Coach CJ. He was like, "Man, I'm gonna tell you, we had some battles with Rod, man, but he said, man, Rod really, laid the groundwork down for us." So I just wanted to get that out there. Another guy, a coach that passed away, was really cool. I liked him. He was a good guy. Was Vic Sapp from the Gators.
Yes.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, Vic,
did you have any battles with the Gators? Did you guys?
Yeah, but I didn't coach against him.
Right.
The Gators they grew up in Greensboro, kind of in our shadow.
Shadow. Okay.
Vic came along in the late 80s, and I was the boys' basketball chair up until the 90s, and I convinced him to take over that position for me.
Wow.
And he did that position until his death in 2007.
Right.
So I gave that up. It's not like I didn't have a lot to do. So I had actually become the national basketball chairman, and I got him to take over.
I didn't know
that. That was in 92. So, yes, and he built the Gators into a very strong program.
Yes, he did.
But he always coached younger kids, 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I always coached older kids. So I never really coached against his team. But the Gators, of course, were big rivals for us and all the Charlotte teams for a long time.
Man.
Your roles were tough.
It was tough, man. That state championship.
Gators kept a good squad. The older guys.
There was the Greensboro Gators, then they changed the name to like the North Carolina Gators.
Yeah. I don't know why
Remember, they was like.
And here's something interesting about that. Everybody thinks that they are named for alligators. The Greensboro Gators are not named for alligators. Their name is Gaters, not like Florida's Gators. And the reason is that Greensboro is known as the Gate City.
The Gate City.
And so they were the Gators. But not very many people knew that.
No, I did not know that.
I
thought it was just, like Florida. Like, I never even really read their jerseys. We just knew they was the Gators. But their team was like, they grew, like, they stayed together from when they was young until they got like 18.
Right.
Like all of them stayed together.
Yeah.
I remember them guys, man.
But they didn't have any competition in Greensboro either.
No, they had
got
to
all
come
the
see
players.
us.
Yeah.
They got all
You
the
come to
players.
Charlotte. So were you more at Nike or Adidas?
Oh, we are.
That was Nike, right?
Nike.
I got a Nike contract in 1996. And we stayed with them, I think, till 2013, I believe, was our last year
Right.
of that. And I had stopped coaching by then. And,
96.
yeah. No. I got it in 96.
Oh, yes.
And I stopped coaching in 2012. And we had it
okay.
one more year after that. And then we did not renew. But that was helpful to us, obviously. It had a lot of product and some money to support the team, and kids didn't have to pay.
Yeah.
In fact, my teams didn't have to pay even before that because I did an annual exhibition tour of college teams.
Wow.
And I put together former college players, and we played anywhere from 8 to 12 games, and they paid us a fee. And I did not pay the players. They didn't like that, but I didn't. Just paid their
Nobody would have
expenses.
something to say about that.
And
Nowadays, it's all right.
And we kept that for the players.
Okay.
But that was an interesting experience as well, coaching the men. I didn't really coach them. I had to manage them.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I know how it is. Might have to holler at you after this.
But that's interesting. Jay Billis played on that team.
Jay Billis.
That's a name you'll
Billis.
Jay
recognize.
Billis.
Shout out to Jay.
And we had a lot of very good players that played, and we won about 25% of our games, which is, okay. We beat UNCC one year. That was
Damn. Where'd y'all play them at?
out at the old mine shaft.
Oh, okay.
We played the shaft
Joe.
every year, but we beat Jeff. I believe Jeff was the coach. Jeff Mullins.
Jeff Mullins.
I'm not mistaken. We played at North Carolina. We played at State twice, I think. We played at Wake Forest against, Rusty LaRue actually was on the team that played against us. He had played for me. And they had, who was the big guy? He was their All-American, their Hall of Famer.
For who?
Played for St. Louis, played for San Antonio.
David Rums? No, Tim Duncan?
Tim Duncan.
Oh,
yeah,
Tim
they had-
Duncan.
they had
OG.
Tim Duncan. And we played South Carolina, so we played.
So you formed an AAU team to play college teams?
Yes.
I never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
We did that for
that's-
we did that for 8 years, and the NCAA changed the rules.
Really?
Made it much harder to do. They all of a sudden teams used to start playing like end of November. Then they started moving their start dates back, so we couldn't get enough games in before they were playing regulation games.
Right.
Well, tell me something about some of your coaches that have went on and coached at the college level, high school level. Like, do you have any particular that
Sure. Right now, Tennessee has 2 of our former players, Justin Gainey, on the staff,
really?
and Brian Lentz
Wow.
are at University of Tennessee now.
Wow.
Justin Gainey was good.
Justin Gainey was a good player, and
NC
he's, I
State.
think, Justin Gray is now the head coach he played at Wake Forest, comes out of West Charlotte, and played
Justin
at
Gray.
last
You
year at
didn't
Oak
even
Hill,
know Justin Gray.
and he is the head coach at Western Carolina University now. He's a real prospect. He's one of the guys they say is a hot number.
Yeah. He was like the first, shout out to Jay Gray too, man. Doing a great job at West Carolina.
Yeah.
Head coach. But he was like, for us coming from West Charlotte, he was like the standard. He was like the first prodigy we saw or something like that, And of course, a lot of great
I'm going to
players.
tell you a story about Justin.
I need to hear it.
Whoa.
Let's go.
He was at Oak Hill,
Yep.
and this was his junior year. And we were playing our state championship, and we were playing at Belmont Abbey College. And I had talked with him about he was playing with us in the spring, coming down, and Coach Smith at Oak Hill knew about it, was all for it, and they had other players that were playing on different clubs. A couple of them were playing for the Gators, and we had our state championship, and he was going to come down, and he said, "I'm going to ride down with a couple of the Gators." Wonderful. I talked with Vic Sapp. Yeah, we'll get him.
Right.
So, long story short, they left him.
Oh, yeah, they left him.
And it depends on who you talk to, whether they did it on purpose or not. I don't know, but at any rate, they left.
That don't seem right.
And Oak Hill's what, 2.5 hours away from here. So we don't know that he's not showing up till all the Gators are there, and we're like, we're not playing the Gators. We're in the same tournament.
Right.
So all the Gators are there. Like, where's Justin? He didn't show up. So there's a problem. So anyway, we're playing the game, and Cliff Knight was handling the team at that point. I was on the bench with him, and we're pretty bummed because Justin was a great player.
Yes.
And I look up, and here comes Justin Gray walking in the gym.
How did you get there?
I jumped up and ran up there and said, "Here's your uniform. Let's go back here." And the game's going on, right? So getting back in the dressing room, I said, "Justin, how'd you get here?" "I took a cab." "You took a cab?"
How old were they then?
He was 17.
17, yeah.
That must have been a nice penny.
I said, "You took a cab from Oak Hill." I said, "I didn't even know they had cabs up there. That's up in the middle of the mountains." But he saw what happened. He somehow got a cab to agree to take him to Belmont. Wow. And
2.5 hours.
of course, I reached in my pocket and got myself $160. That's probably an NCAA violation, but I gave him back his $160, which that tells you what kind of competitor he was. Mm-hmm. Very competitive guy. He was not going to miss that basketball tournament. It meant a lot to him, and it meant something for him to go against the people he knew he was going to go against. We wound up winning the championship.
Wow!
By the way, against Shavlik Randolph and a great team out of Raleigh. So that was that's a story I'll never forget. That he went to that,
man, how could you forget that
effort. A young man, like, I don't know where he had the. I'm surprised he had the money to do that, but he was willing to spend his last nickel
to get to
this game. Yeah.
Well,
shout out to Jay Gray, man.
Yeah, definitely.
West Side legend.
That's
Western Carolina.
It went in your pocket to make that one.
I know he puts the same effort and passion into his coaching that he did as a player.
Doing a great job too, man. Proud of you, man. You was a stand at him. Guys like him, Jeff McGinnis. From where we from, this means a lot.
Well, Rod, I'll tell you. I've raised my kids here, and it was the best thing I ever did. My wife, Carol, she got me down here, got me out of New York. At the time, it was a tough place, man. Grow up in New York, I tell you. But I thank God for coming down here, man. And I watched all these other documentaries and Setback. I was a part of a documentary I did with Master Pill with Nas, the Supreme Team. I did the consultant producing, and got in contact with Morrow one day, and we talked about it. Nothing never happened right away, and then finally he called me and he said, "Man, yeah, let's do it. Let's put together this grassroots history about Charlotte, North Carolina, because it's never been done." And man, I'm learning so much about the richness of the basketball here.
This is really cool thing that you guys are doing. I see a lot of changes, not all good, but mostly good, to basketball since I've been involved, which has been 40-some years, I guess. The coaching in the high schools is very good. It was not necessarily when we started.
Right.
It was somebody who was teaching history, and they said, "We want you to coach basketball. We'll pay you $200." Or your assistant football coach. But the coaching is good. I think the talent level overall is improved. Of course, we got more people, but the talent level is good, and you got a lot of high school programs that are very competitive. You got more private schools that are playing, and they're playing at a high level. bad. Nobody goes to those games. I used to go to Garinger High School games. Now, they were good in the 80s. Yeah. The only place that does that now really is North Mecklenburg fills their gym. Myers Park can have good crowds, and they have good crowds. So there are a few that have good crowds. Mm-hmm. But the schools that aren't on the very top have a hard time drawing, and I think that's too bad. I think part of that is there's not the feeling of community with the schools that there used to be. When I went to high school, little old high school in Cabarrus County, we filled our gym. We were not good, but we filled the gym because that's what everybody did. That was just what you did. You went to the football games, you went to the basketball games, and we don't have that approach anymore.
Wow.
High schools have to
pick it up. You got to pick it up.
Have to do something to attract people. The AAU teams, the good is there are a lot more of them. A lot more kids get a chance to play. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, the teams aren't as good. Right. The best teams usually aren't as good because it's spread out. Instead of 3 teams, there are 30 teams. So if you only get 1 or 2 good players, that can have an effect. Same is true in our national tournaments. The national tournaments aren't as strong
like they used to be.
All the way through as they used to be. Right. I had 2 teams that had 10 players go to Division I schools. Mm-hmm. You're lucky now if you find 2 players on a team that goes to a Division I school. And it's just because there's so much, it's more. But there are a lot more kids having the opportunity, a lot more events available. Probably the biggest disappointment in AAU basketball is the conduct of the fans. Wow. The conduct of the parents is getting to be out of control. And parents get this idea that it's so important for their 10-year-old kid to do well because they're sure he's going to go to the next level. So that approach is bad, and so there's been more and more rules in place. I know I run tournaments, and we have to have security, and we have to have people walking around who are big and capable of dealing with that kind of stuff. And it's too bad because that's not good for the kids.
No, yeah.
And
jumping on the refs and all of this, jumping on the coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So I don't know what to do about it. We're doing what we can do about it. But the main thing is, parents, let your kids play. Let them play. Yeah. Let the coach them. Right. It's not unlike, somewhat like college now. Kid plays on an AAU team. He's not a starter. Next year he's on another one. Next year he's on another one.
Or the next week.
Or the next week. Or the next day.
Yep. Yeah.
It's kind of like college. You don't like what you're doing, I'll transfer. Mm-hmm. So these things are some negatives, but basketball in general is improved. Just the skill level. I don't know that they always have their team systems as well organized. It's hard to get practice time. It's hard to find a place to practice. Wow. Some teams don't practice. I never would be interested in doing that. To me, practice was really important. That's what I liked. That's what I wanted to
do. Get in the gym, man. Get some reps in. Well, I can say this now for the sneaker companies. I see Nike has a high school tournament now. I think they do a little high school thing. I see they kind of like, they went from their camps. I come up to 5-star, and then, Nike at one time sponsored us, and then next thing you know, Nike had their camp, top 100, whatever. Right. And now they got a high school tournament. So. I just think, and you got to be a top team to play in that.
Well, they call it a national championship. Of course, it is not really. Oh, it's an invitational. Okay. Most of the high school federations will not permit their teams to play in a national championship. Wow. North Carolina certainly will not.
Why is that?
The high school federation is divided into 50 different federations. And each federation has its own rules,
right? And
they want the state tournament to be the epitome.
Top one,
yeah. And they also want to limit the length of the seasons. And these national tournaments occur in April, a month after the high school traditional stops. So they've got a lot of reasons, and I think a lot of good reasons. Private schools here can go. Private schools in North Carolina can go. Wow. I think Providence Day did participate a few years ago in one of those things. I don't know if it was Nike or some other thing, but I don't think you'll ever see a real national high school championship. I was on USA Basketball Board for many years, and I served with the High School Federation executive director, and we had this discussion many times. And he never saw that it was going to happen. Now they got a different guy, but he feels the same way. And I think most of the state federations feel the same way. So I don't think that's a realistic thing to expect unless it's a invitational. And most of those kids playing in that are private schools, not public schools.
Well, I'm just looking at my notes here. And I think we covered everything, but the main thing it's in the records. He beat 2 New York teams.
Yes, we did. Not every time now.
No, but you got him. That's all I'm
going to
say.
Not tomorrow. We got him.
Yeah, we got him.
We got you.
We got him. I mean, Rod, I just want to thank you, man. I know we talked before, and I told you that I was doing this, me and Morrow, and was going to hopefully put this thing on the big screen. And I think it's going to be wonderful. I think it's going to be something really exciting for this hoop state of that Morrow calls it.
North Carolina's hoop state still standing.
It's been a lot of fun. I always enjoy talking about. Here's another thing. I was a lawyer. I am a lawyer, and practiced here for over 40 years, and I had a lot of cases and learned to meet a lot of people and have a lot of good relationships there. But the fact is, and I say this all the time, most of my fondest memories, most of my best friends, most of the best experiences I had in my life have come through basketball.
Wow.
And basketball is a connection. I mean, I would have never known this young man, but for basketball.
He couldn't wait to do this.
Basketball.
Love you, Coach.
And people who are in basketball and stay in basketball do develop, and other sports as well. Right. It's true of other sports. Yeah. But develop a connection that is, you don't lose. I had last summer, we had a 30-year reunion of our national championship team from '93. Not everybody could come, but a lot of them came. Some of them I have not seen in 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was just like you saw them yesterday. Man. That connection was still there.
Beautiful.
And so basketball is a beautiful game in many ways. And the connections and experiences that you have, like CJ and Clarence Johnson and Kerry Sargent and I, we were bitter rivals.
Wow.
I mean, we got after
it.
But I consider them to be close friends today.
Absolutely.
And we love to be with each other. And there's that connection. And I think that was true even when we started the program in '82. The kids were able to develop that connection that they hadn't had before because they weren't together before. Right. And now they're together. We're trying to learn some new stuff and play in new events and go new places. And I think that was a good thing.
Right.
Coach, 764 and 362. That's your record, man.
Whoa.
3 national championships. You said 9 overall.
Well, I coached in 4 of them, but
got 5 now.
We had 5 overall.
And that's the work, and that's without marketing and Instagram and all that. So you know the kind of work you got to put up, the kind of talent you have to go out and recruit. Right. So this is why we're doing this podcast, because it's something that nobody else is doing in the city, and it's also shedding light on the real history of. I always wanted to be like, man, I want to do something for the. I was like, without y'all, you, Kerry, Kevin, CJ, Maceo, Pearl, like all those guys that I grew up under playing, Brownie, all the guys, we really appreciate it. A lot of guys reaching out from my era and older era, and even the younger era, they watching the shows, and they're like, I didn't know this. I didn't know how this came about. I didn't know that about coaching. And then just continue to keep y'all in the forefront and relevant in front of everybody in the city, because y'all deserve it, giving everybody flowers.
That's right.
So we appreciate you, Coach, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We got the last segment. It's called Both Sides of the Business. We know you practiced law for over 25 years.
I'm much older than that.
Oh, I'm trying to look. I'm looking out. I love you. No, so I know now. I know you pretty much riding off in the sunset. Shout out to Devin Seaford, your son. I competed against him, played with him with the Royals. My guy. Shout out to him. What's life now? Like, I know you retired, man. You trying to get to where you are.
Well, I still I'm trying to stay healthy.
Absolutely.
I'm 76.
Wow. You don't look it.
You don't look a day over 40.
So write that down for me.
I got so mental. I got you.
Trying to stay healthy. I have 4 children.
Okay.
I have 5 grandsons. So that's keeping me
active.
I do manage the North Carolina AAU.
Okay.
Not just basketball. I'm involved in other sports as well, but it's pretty much office and telephone. Okay. And I am still the boys basketball director in North Carolina. I have resigned all my national jobs. So I'm trying to enjoy life, get out, take a few more trips.
That's right.
One thing I do regret, I'm not going out to high school basketball games, but I should be doing that. I just get home and get lazy. But I'm going to try to hit some here as we end the season.
They get a little packed. I might go to North Mex game tomorrow. They play Chambers.
You better get there early.
I'm going to go to the girls game. I'm going to get there when the girls play.
Yeah. Well, let's say this. Now, I'm just, I'm not saying it can happen, but I would love to see a Charlotte Royals, this one top high school team of the kids right here, put together, and because Gonznell White spoke highly of you. He said he coached with you.
Yeah.
If this could happen, and I'm not knocking the other programs out there. I don't want you guys to get offended by this, but we got to go with the richness of where it started from. Mm-hmm. I would like to see a Charlotte Royal team of the kids from here one more time. I don't know who the coach could be. I don't know. But let's get one more time.
That would be a lot of fun to see.
Yeah. Let's get one.
That's going to be pretty hard to do. It's
love to see it.
It's the shoe companies all have programs now, and it's almost like and when I had a shoe contract,
right,
we had a great advantage. It was like the ACC against a Division II league.
Wow.
Because we could recruit a player, and it didn't cost him anything to play for us.
Facts.
And we weren't paying the players, but they were getting shoes, and they were getting warm-up suits, and they were getting things that Nike provided. And, a lot of the clubs, the kids were having to pay $400, $500, $600 to play. So naturally, the better players would come and play for these shoes. And they're still true. Nike has a program, Adidas has a program, Under Armour has a program. Seems like there's another one out there.
New Balance now.
New Balance has
Under
a
Armour.
program.
Under Armour.
Under Armour is pretty strong.
Yeah.
So you got all that. So it's almost like and of course what they do is they require you to play in their events.
In the events, yeah.
When we did the same thing, and the reason I finally did not renew that contract, there are several reasons, but one reason is they added events that we needed to go to, and I was having to ask kids to get off school. Used to get them off for 2 days, then we had to get them off for 3, and then they had to get them off for 4 days.
Right, it's a little too long.
And then the money we were getting was not quite enough to get on an airplane 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
So at that point, it became too much. And I know they've changed their programs. I'm not criticizing them at all because it was great for us. And Nike was a great sponsor. They never asked me to do anything wrong.
Wow.
They never asked me to do something for one player that I didn't do for every other player. That was our policy. You didn't get a pair of shoes unless everybody got a pair of shoes. Right. So, and Nike never asked me to do anything that was untowards at all. So I appreciated that. And then they sent me a lot of stuff too, which I liked,
Coach, you stayed fly, man.
Yeah, you stayed fly.
You had the same stuff on we had on. Those the days, man.
Well, I'm going to let you, take us out.
Say no more. Hey, man, listen. Once again, Both Sides of the Game podcast, episode 8 is in the books. Main man, OG.
Thank
Rod
you.
Seaford.
I appreciate you fellas coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
It may not happen. This royalty may not happen this year, but
not happening this year.
hopefully down the line we would love to see one coming out of here. Just one more time.
We'll look into it. If not, at least we'll get some kind of reunion going. Shout out to my brothers,
Yes.
Bobby
great.
Short, Jeff Worley, all those guys.
Yes.
So episode 8's in the books, man. We thank y'all. We appreciate you. Tap in with us, YouTube, like, follow, and subscribe us. Keep rocking with us. Episode 8, we out.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.